Well, hello. Welcome to Animals Attack. So before I get started, I just want to apologize in advance that there may be some residual sounds in the background. We're having a little bit of work done on the house. Not me, but the landlord is having some work done on the house. So you might hear some bumping and banging in the background. I can promise you that's not me. Okay, I've got a great story. This fella, Richard Green, sent us in an article that he enjoyed very much, and I think that you guys will enjoy it very much. Okay, so let's get on with it. Okay, so Richard has titled this 5 Terrifying Bear Attacks. The first one is Night of the Grizzlies. On one tragic night in the summer of 1967, 2 young women were killed by grizzlies in 2 separate attacks inside Montana's Majestic Glacier National Park. The 2 women, both 19 years old and both employees at 2 of the park's lodges, embarked on overnight backpacking trips with friends on August the 12th. Unknown to them, grizzlies had been spotted near lodges and campsites in the park for weeks, attracted to food left behind by careless campers and even fed to the animals by photo-seeking tourists. Back in the 1960s, there were no bear-proof garbage cans and few other safety precautions at U.S. national parks to alert visitors to the presence of bears. 2 victims, Julie Helgeson and Michelle Coons, slept outside under a canopy of stars without a clue that their campsites were about to be raided by hungry and aggressive grizzlies. Helgeson and a friend were awoken in the pre-dawn hours by a large grizzly sniffing at their sleeping bags. They tried to play dead, but the grizzly sunk his teeth and claws into both of them and dragged Helgeson away as she screamed for help. She was found hours later by a search party, badly wounded, and died before the rescue helicopter reached the hospital. Oh, that's too bad. Coons and her friends had more warning, but a similar awful outcome. Their camp was raided by a grizzly as they cooked dinner, but thinking the animal was sated, they moved down to the beach to spend the night. The bear returned at 4:30 a.m., and while her friends were able to clamber up nearby trees, Coons was brutally mauled. The bear bit off her arm. She succumbed to her injuries before help arrived. The gruesome attacks chronicled in the 1969 book Night of the Grizzlies by Jack Olson led to widespread policy changes in U.S. national parks to prevent the feeding of animals, remove trash, and close campsites and trails where bear activity was spotted. Okay, number 2, the Sankabetsu brown bear attacks of 1915. I've actually heard of this before. Okay. The Japanese island of Hokkaido is home to a hulking subspecies of brown bear called usuri that can grow larger than a grizzly. They can also be deadly aggressive, with 86 usuri attacks recorded on Hokkaido since 1962, including 33 fatalities. But the worst bear attacks in Japanese history took place over a harrowing week in December of 1915, when a ravenous bear awoke early from hibernation and went on a killing spree in the frontier outpost of Sankabetsu. That ended with 7 people dead, mostly women and children. The hungry and agitated bear weighed 750 pounds and measured 9 feet long, killed its victims by stalking them in their homes. Even when the town assembled an armed security squad, it was unable to stop the almost daily attacks. The bear was wounded multiple times by gunfire, but kept returning to claim more victims, including a pregnant woman and an infant. Finally, professional bear hunters were called in to kill the bear. Traumatized, most of the villagers moved away from Sankubetsu, where a shrine stands today to commemorate the lives lost in this brutal and historic attack. My goodness. Okay, number 3, the gruesome end of Grizzly Man. You know, guys, I was so affected by this one because I followed him through his career, basically, when he was going on these various talk shows and so on and so forth. But I kind of had this vision of, seeing that it wasn't going to end so well. But anyways, okay, on with the story. Timothy Treadwell made a name for himself as a friend of the grizzly bears in Alaska Katmai National Park, where he documented his startling close relationship with these majestic and much feared animals. For 13 years, Treadwell spent his spring and summers in the park filming himself having a playful interaction with wild grizzlies, which he called by pet names like Crackers and Mr. Chocolate. Without any wildlife training or particular expertise, Treadwell dubbed himself a protector of the grizzlies and was featured in magazines and TV profiles. Tragically, his most famous appearance came in 2005 documentary Grizzly Man, which chronicles how Treadwell's obsession with the grizzlies came to a horrifying end on October 5th, 2003. Treadwell and his girlfriend, Amy Huguenard, were mauled and killed by a starving grizzly bear in their tent. Chillingly, Treadwell had his camera rolling, but because the lens cap was in place, only the audio survived. Filmmaker Werner Herzog, who directed the documentary, is one of the few people to hear the disturbing recording. Once he did, Herzog suggested that it be destroyed. Sadly, that advice was not taken, but the one thing that really kind of bothered me about all of this is that there was so much aggression pointed towards Timothy Treadwell because, one, he basically got his girlfriend killed. She put a lot of trust in him, and so a lot of people hold him responsible for that. And also the bear was killed, the creature that he professed to love so much. So that was a really sad lesson to learn. Okay, number 4, polar bear attacks British teenagers in Norway. In 2011, a group of British teenagers were on a month-long Arctic adventure in Norway, where they hoped to catch a rare glimpse of a polar bear in the starkly beautiful landscape. But no one expected such a dreadfully close encounter, one that claimed the life of a 17-year-old boy with dreams of becoming a doctor. Young Horatio Chappell was one of 80 students taking part in an expedition to Svalbard, Norway, organized by the British Schools Exploring Society. The teens were excited to explore the remote wilderness, make new friends, and study the effects of climate change on the Arctic environment. Polar bears are a known threat in Svalbard, but parents had to be assured that all participants would be equipped with pen flares to scare off bears and that the campsites would be ringed with tripwires to set off small explosive mines. They were also told that one adult group leader would carry a firearm. When the expedition hit the ice, however, the team realized there weren't enough pen flares to go around, and some of the tripwires weren't working properly. The gun carried by Chapel's group leader was an old rifle that the adult leaders weren't well trained to use. As fate would have it, a starving polar bear entered Chapel's camp unnoticed while the teens slept. It ripped into Chapel's tent and bit one of his companions on the head before mauling Chapel, who was dragged from the tent and killed. In addition to Chapel's death, 4 other members of the exploration party were seriously injured by the polar bear, including 2 adult leaders who struggled with the rifle before finally killing the desperate animal. Oh boy, imagine having that on your head for the rest of your life. Wow. Okay, number 5. Black bear rampages through popular hot springs. The Liard River Hot Springs Provincial Park in British Columbia, Canada, is a paradise amidst the boreal forest, where locals and tourists flock for a dip in its steaming hot pools. On August the 14th, 1997, Patty McConnell and her 2 kids needed a break from a long road trip from Texas to Alaska and decided to pull over at the hot springs. McConnell and her 13-year-old son, Kelly, walked down the boardwalk and up some stairs to explore a less crowded pool. That's when McConnell heard a rustling in the underbrush and turned to stare down a large black bear. She was barely able to yell out to Kelly before the bear tackled her and began to viciously maul her. Despite his size, Kelly kicked the bear in the face and beat it with a tree branch to try and save his mother, but the bear clawed him across the neck and lifted him high up in the air by the waist before tossing him aside in a heap. Hearing their cries, a bystander named Ray Kitchen rushed to the scene and also tried to beat the black bear away from the 2 bloodied victims. The bear turned on Kitchen and struck him with such force that the 2 went tumbling through a railing and down a hillside, where the bear fatally mauled Kitchen in the neck. Another man was critically wounded before 2 more bystanders rushed in with hunting rifles and killed the rampaging animal. While McConnell also died from her wounds, her brave young boy survived, and Kelly and Kitchen posthumously received medals of courage from the Canadian government. There just is no words to, somebody gives their life for, to help save you. There's just nothing more powerful than that. Anyways, besides that ending, that was, I really enjoyed reading that. If anybody else wants to send in those types of articles, that's pretty cool. I just love the bear stories. Well, I've told you guys that so many times. Anyways, guys, I think I'm going to stop there. Don't forget, if you've got a story, send it in. Hit the like button. Hit the bell for notifications and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment below. I love to read the comments. Okay, guys, have a great evening and we'll see you back here in a couple of days. Bye for now.